Welcome to the IMSA Grid Finder Time Attack Challenge. My name is Suede Almeida, racing driver and coach, and here's a quick tutorial for the challenge number 5 at the Barcelona Historic with the LMP2. Let's watch the lap first, and then I'll explain the thought process in each corner. Turn 1, we are going to brake at the 100 board, and then as soon as we get there, very quickly to 100% and stay on 100% as the speed goes down a little bit. And then as we go to 4th and 3rd gear, we start thinking about turning in. We are now releasing the brakes, using lots of engine braking to keep the car rotating. So the first phase of the rotation will come mostly from engine braking and trail braking, barely any steering as you can see here. And then as the RPM goes down, I can start adding more and more and more steering, aiming to have the tires as close as possible to the yellow curb here to benefit from the line, and then changing direction and climbing this here so that you can cut. This does not hurt you at all. It just gives you a little bit better line so that you can change direction here. You can see that I'm actually not sacrificing too much the exit. I'm bringing the car very well to the right here because I don't need to go so much to this one to prepare the long right-hander. And then after this, we change direction and we lift a little bit. We wait for the car to settle and to stay on the inside a little bit more. And then finally we get back on power and the car starts running wide and wide and wide and wide all the way until the left here in this opening radius. Then we're gonna brake right before the bridge shadow, and then we go down to 2nd gear, use lots of engine braking and keep the car on the inside as much as possible, and then getting back on power, trusting the downforce here as the car starts opening up and opening up and opening up with very relaxed hands. The car will want to go all the way to the outside, but just make sure that you don't go too much there because you will need to immediately bring the car to the right to prepare for this next corner. As you can see, I'm not even 100% straight here. When I start braking, the car is still pointing a few degrees to the right, which shows how close these corners are and we don't have a lot of time in between to lose. Then downshifting to 1st gear, very careful on turning here. There's not a lot of grip. The car starts falling a little bit here before we get a little bit more grip on the inside. We have a transition where we have a lot less grip and the car becomes very unresponsive here. And then we get back on power very progressively, allowing the car to go all the way to the outside. You can see lots of micro corrections. The car is actually sliding just ever so slightly, but consistently all the way until the exit of this corner. Then we go into the S's. We are going to brake at the very beginning of this white part of the curb, and then we're going to turn in rather late so that we can get as much rotation as possible and then get back on power on top of this curb here on the left. And as soon as we do that, when we drop away from it and we cross the center of the track, there is going to be a lot less grip here because of the crowning of the track. So basically, the green line is the highest part and the red lines start falling away so that the water from the rain is better drained. And the effect this causes in the balance is that anytime we're crossing from the inside to the outside of a corner, we start falling sideways off camber and the car is sliding a lot. Just make sure you don't really use the sausage curb here on the left. The yellow curb has to be avoided. And then we go all the way to the outside, preparing the right-hander. We're going to turn in quite late. We want to be very close to this grass on turn in here. And then we're going to brake very, very lightly. I actually brake 0.5%. It barely shows here. And then I realized I need a little bit more rotation. So I add a little bit more brakes and go all the way to, let's call it 10%. Just to make the front tires point a little bit more, and then I get back on power and let it run all the way to the outside, very close to the off track here. Just make sure that you don't have the center of the car on top of the green here, because this version of this layout is very sensitive in terms of off tracks in this corner. Then we go for this left-hander. I'm going to brake more or less at the end of the dirt here on the right, as you can see, straight to 100% when we get there. Then I'm going to downshift aggressively to make the car point, and I'm going to turn in quite early, almost like a double apex, because it is actually a double apex. I hit the apex, I go wide, I get back on power, and I keep turning left, and I hit the second apex more or less here. The second apex is not that pronounced. There's not a place where you hit, but you do come back all the way to the left to prepare the next right-hander. And then right here, also similar approach to a double apex. I'm going to turn in very early. I'm going to hit the inside. Now the car is going to start going wide. And then I come back. And then on the second one, we don't really come back all the way. This is a very traditional double apex approach in high downforce cars. You can see a lot Formula 1 drivers doing that, hitting the first apex, but actually missing the second one, because the second one, they are gaining speed and the car is going wider, but because of that extra downforce, that line actually works and becomes faster. So that's why I get back on power, never really come back to the second apex, but my car goes all the way to the outside flawlessly. And then flat corner, just make sure you turn in quite early, so you can use a little bit of this screen here, and then you can prepare the last corner that is going to be extremely important, because it leads into a very long straight, and it's going to count for this lap and the next lap as well. So third gear, lots of engine braking, trail braking to point the car, and then getting back on power and let the car roll all the way to the outside here. You only get an off track if you do touch the dirt on the left. And that is the lap, and I hope you have lots of fun driving this combo.